Where you at, Brenda? Where you at, Peppermint Patty? How you guys doing out there? West Coast? Yeah, nothing but the funk. Today, Mr. Rickey Vincent's in the house. Georgia, I want y'all to tune in. North Carolina, New York City, New Jersey, D.C., I want you to tune in. Minneapolis, much prayers out to you. Up in Indiana, I know y'all going through it. Texas, I need you down here today. Yo, what's up, New Orleans? How you doing? What's up, Long Island, Bayshore, where I'm from, Queens, New York? Napier Folk Army's in the house. Yes, yes, yes. Let's go to Canada. Let's go to Dubai. Let's go to Australia, y'all. Germany, where you at? You in the house. They tried to get us today, but they can't stop the funk. Right now, bringing in on Funk from the Front Seat, I am honored to have Mr. Rickey Vincent. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's going on, brother Zach, man? It's wonderful to be in the loop with you, man. Funk from the front seat. I thought I needed some coffee to do this, but I'm just listening to you and getting juiced up for this. It's nice.
No, I'm trying to keep it straight, man. I love you, man. You know, you're my brother, and it's like, you know, this thing that we're going to get into today for a little while, people need to understand what you do and who you are and how important you are to the whole funk movement. And I apologize for the technical difficulties here in North Carolina. Sometimes it's a little weird and I can't even get on and get my straight, even though I was just talking to Mark a second ago. I'd like to thank my producer, Mr. Mark Lee, the main man behind the glass, keeping everything popping. So thank you, Mark. I know I was like really crazy this morning, but you know, this to be really, really cool. And thank you, Mark, for all your hard work. Mr. Rickey Vincent, you are a funk legend, author. You know, Philly Phil and Keith, and they all say you started this whole thing, man. And I am honored to have you as a guest. And I just want to, you know, hang out with you, and we're going to pick your brain a little bit, man. So how are you and your family doing with the whole COVID thing, first of all?
We made it through to the other side, and
Good.
you know, so that's a beautiful thing. And
yeah, it is.
You know, we can start sniffing out some funk for real. A band that I know just announced Saturday, no cover jam session at a club out here called Yoshi's, and I'm gonna slip in there tomorrow. That'll be the first club scene I've seen since February 2020.
Yeah.
The mellow jazz thing, and you know, everybody be masked up, but at least you can soak up some live vibes for a hot minute.
And yeah, it's beautiful, man. I know down here in North Carolina, I'm from New York, but in North Carolina, they opened up about a month ago. So down here, people are treating it like Mardi Gras. It may not be the best thing, but again, and I'll ask you this, socialization from the heart with what music gives us and what you wrote about in many of your books and things, you know, we need that as human beings. Wouldn't you agree?
We need that, and it's always been the antidote to Western civilization. And, you know, some of us can make it work and can get a job and this and that and the other. But if you don't know who you are, then you just suffering from the placebo syndrome all the way.
That's right.
You know, so you need to kind of know yourself, be on the one and be able to deal with it. And P-Funk is, for most of us, our guide. Even without lyrics, you can just vibe on it. And that's your guide to kind of clearing things out. Get the cobwebs out your mind, blow the snot out your nose, and you know, keep you going, grooving on the one, knowing who you are, that you're a natural African, even though you thousands of miles away and centuries away, you on it. And so that's why we live and love the funk. And that's why I've been doing this for the longest time. And, you know, there was a generation when I was into it as well that was all about it, but we didn't have the social media tools. We didn't have the, you know, all the other things. We were putting bootleg cassette tapes in the mail to each other around the world. You know, me and my homie, the Funky Man, we did a show called the Maggot Brain Special, and we put out a call, and people sent me cassette tapes of bootleg recordings of Maggot Brain from all around the world. This is back in
Right.
the 90s, right?
Right.
Before anybody was on social media, on internet radio or anything. But it was a little slower, but we made it happen. That's, young generation, they don't even know how you survive before social media. Well,
Yeah.
if you social, you'll get some media that will work. And that's
Yeah.
what people
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
doing because we had the funk. It
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
didn't download it on the day it was released online, but we always got it word of mouth. DJs you believed in, that you trusted, could tell you what's up, and they're like, oh, homeboy set us up. The way he said it is like, I got to go get that one. Sometimes they'll
Yeah.
say, well, this pop song is worth getting, and you're like, nah, I'm not hearing that. But when they say, oh, this one,
Right.
because our DJs were the ones that DJ for the affair. They were the ones that let us know what was going down. And yeah, that's a lost craft, a lost art, and a lot of us
Totally.
are losing them, but they come back. Those things come in cycles. And
Yeah, they
I
do.
think now that all the funk is out there. It's there. I was
Yep.
calculating it because I'm in my book back in the day. I wrote a
Uh-huh.
list of the top funk albums. I missed some, but I put a list out there just so people could get started. And I
Yeah.
listed how many were on CD at that time in 1995. And
Right. Right.
it was maybe a third, maybe a half of them. Now everything funk is pretty much available online, but that means that's too much if you don't know which way is up. If you don't know where the one is, you'll be up there talking about, wow, the Jonas Brothers are the bomb. Like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not even a little finger cracker. No, 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 no. So
Exactly. Exactly.
somebody needs to lay that out for you. And some of our family members do that. But we know, the hip hop generation, a lot of them, they learn their funk just by going to their cousin's record collection, going to their mom and pop's record collection.
Amen.
The funk taught them on its own.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
came up with some beats and understood it. And then they actually, some of them, if they were lucky, caught a live P-Funk show and they changed their life. And then they riding with us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Brother, I'm glad you said that, man. And again, we're hanging out with the man, the myth, the legend. I am so honored to have Mr. Rickey Vincent, author of many books, funk connoisseur. You are on the Mount Rushmore. Okay, when you text me back, I was just so excited. I was nervous. I was like, man, I was like, this guy is the guy. And you brought up something very cool. In New York, there was always the Village, and the Village had that mixture, CBGBs, wetlands, whatnot. The only way we was hearing our funk was on WNYU Terry Terrell show on Saturdays from
Oh,
7:30 to 10. That's
okay.
how I got it. That's where I
Okay.
first heard Don Blackman, You Ain't Hip. That's where I first heard Pumping It Up. Because they wasn't playing that because New York is what it is. Now, me being a funkhead, bro, I don't know if you remember this company, Audiophile. I
Okay.
used to order all my P-Funk overseas albums. They would come back to me with Japanese written on them. I ordered from them. But I was in my neighborhood, I was the funk cat. Being a musician, I had all the stuff. Um, when I first heard Maggot Brain, it changed my life. So I want to go back to the beginning again. Again, you're an amazing man. You're an author, but you're an instructor at San Francisco State University, right? And I saw
Well,
something. Oh, go ahead,
go
sir.
ahead. Keep on
No, no,
going.
no. No, I was gonna say they were calling you the UHURA maggot. I don't know
The
how to pronounce that.
the Uhuru Maggot, Funketeer of the Year. That's how we would do it at the radio station. See, I started in college radio at
Uh huh.
Cal Berkeley, and one of the few things they taught us at the beginning of the college radio training is make your air name as outrageous as it could be.
Right.
And so we came up with some ridiculous names. And so I just was, I was trying to outdo the other people who have ridiculous names. And I just said, okay, well, Huru Maggot flows. It's what you hear that, and you're like, I need to know what is going on with that music, with that show. Who would call
Yes,
themselves
sir.
that? And so it was something that it reflected what the sound of the music was on the show. Other folks, hip hop shows, there's cool folks, but a lot of them, their names are similar. We had Davey D out here. Well, there's a Davey D out on the East Coast. And, Benny B. They were cool, but you want something that nobody, it's a trick. You want something nobody will forget. Sometimes it's something nobody will remember, but it was just a name I was going to use because it told people, you coming this way, you're not getting the light stuff. We were deep in the B-sides when a lot of folks I knew that was down people was scared of the Parlette B-sides. They weren't ready, for Brides of Funkenstein or a solo Bernie Worrell album, for, some bootleg, P-Funk. They were just kind of catching wind that there's something beyond the Parliament chart busting songs. And they were just trying to dig in. And, we was rolling for a minute with Digital Underground, Shock G and those guys. And they're the most P-Funkish hip hop group ever. And we know it.
Humpty Hump.
Humpty Hump. But what they had was a skill to take, stuff just a little bit off the main line. And even the mainline stuff, they would loop it in a little different way. And there were still layers of P that, we had the school, Shock G and some of those guys, and look, there's whole other doors to open. Door number 3, 4, 5, and 6 when you want to get, way down. But they had the sense to sample Theme from the Black Hole and, sample the slapping stuff. But they knew they was riding above something that was way deep. And so it was rich because we could contribute that. The Funketeers out here, David Chaos, the DJ, Dr. Illenstein. That was the first guy that introduced me to the whole world of Funketeers. That was maybe 1985. And he was listening to my college radio and he called in and I said, and we started to connect. And, and he told me about David Chaos, who's the guy. It's tricky because he's one of the first DJs. He's probably the first DJ in P-Funk because he was on R&B Skeletons in the Closet doing the Mix Master Suite Counter Irritant Nothing Left to Burn. And George had heard him at a record store, boom, hired him, boom. And he did this wild P-Funk mix with all kinds of deep layered P-Funk. And this is back in, when was that? 88, 87, right. When that record came out, I was way ahead of everybody figuring out how to sample Flashlight. And Chaos was way ahead of that game. But what he submitted, the record company took all the heat out of the flame, took all the P-Funk that they didn't want to license and left it what it is on the album today. And, it's kind of sweet and sour that, he was sort of in the P-Funk loop, but he didn't get that shine. And that was, and bands weren't ready to add a DJ at that time. Otherwise, I think Chaos would have been on the road with that. But anyway, that's how, we were plugged in and we were from that legacy. We're from the East Bay, and that's where they landed the mothership at the Oakland Coliseum with Glenn Goins bringing it down. What's happening, Oakland? Is everything all right?
Right.
Connected us. I remember when that show came to town, and it was the spring of 1977, and I heard about it, and I was 15. And I wanted to check it out, but I didn't know who to go with. I couldn't pull anything together. I was scared of those big guys. And then I heard the word that thing was the bomb. And then May of 77, I think, that thing dropped. And all of us funk heads, and by then, All the Name is Bootsy Baby was just the record, the album on the street. Everybody was bumping that. And then P-Funk came to town again later that year. And they brought the mothership and the whole thing. And so I got my cloning card right there.
Amen.
And it's been on ever since. Whenever they show the footage of landing on the motherships, I know. It's in my soul and my DNA. And I was just ready for it. And, I wasn't a ethnomusicologist at the time, but I'm looking at their band and they got 3 or 4 horn players, playing these little jazz riffs, and then you look on the other side, they got 3 or 4 guitarists playing, rhythm licks, lead chops, playing all this rock. Then they got 5 or 6 singers playing all this gospel soul. I'm like, these ones put in this whole 3-in-1 package of the jazz, soul, they put it all together. And when you witness it done like that, it wasn't, it wasn't some sort of showcase. It was like, it was all on the one. That was just,
right.
just thunder, and it would just, it would transform you. But then when you think about how much they had just accumulated, they just took all the black music, all the blackness, and put it down there on the one for you. And if you're ready for it, it can take all of. When Bootsy said, "Why not take all of me?"
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They were giving you all you need, and so I was open to it, soaked it up, and just kept moving ever since. And did what I could do at that time, which was write a little bit about it. And I was in school and I wanted to write about black music, and most of the books had sort of stopped. They had stopped to a trickle by the 70s. They all these white people love to write about soul music, love to write about the blues, and some of them are real good at it, but nobody was interested in the funk, and the funk was taking over. And you can measure it with like sales charts and who was hitting, but if you watching Soul Train, who's hitting in 71, 72, and 73. Stevie was killing it. Billy Preston was slaying it. You had the bands War and Mandrill and whoever could be seen and heard coming up. You had these outdoor festivals in the park, and you'd be hearing Lonnie Liston Smith and this grooving jazz, African conscious jazz that you could groove to. And I was like, all of this is happening. And a generation later, it was digitalized stuff. It was, you better sound like Prince or Michael Jackson or you're fired.